So last night I heard one of the dumbest arguments for the validation of Christianity I have ever heard. Now, I was at a cigar lounge, and generally at cigar lounges, politics, race, and religion are frowned upon. They are not conversations that you should have. Now, if all parties are in agreement and everybody can stay within their feelings, oftentimes the lounge will allow it to happen, long as there's not anyone being offended. But some people did get into their feelings once they brought me into the argument, because I tried to refrain. But here's the dumbest argument to support Christianity I've ever heard. Because what piqued my interest is that a man said that he believes in Zeus and he believes in Jesus. Doesn't that sound interesting? How do you believe in Zeus and still believe in Jesus? So he proceeded to explain it this way. If you are believing in a deity, and that deity have similar teachings to the God of the Bible, then you are in fact worshiping the God of the Bible. So when I brought up the fact that chronologically, Sir Dr. Gautama, who becomes the Buddha and started Buddhism, was 500 years prior to Jesus, you are saying that because they both talked about treating your neighbors properly, taking care of the orphans and widows, that I am worshiping Jesus. Because in his belief, since Jesus is God, then Jesus was before Buddha. And somehow God taught Buddha, this same God, this God of Abraham, still taught Buddha to say what he said. So therefore, I am worshiping Christ. So I proceeded to then ask him, I said, okay, here's the deal. Chronologically, there was no such deity as Yahweh until there were Canaanites. Because if I had said Israelites, that's a problem. But before that, there were Canaanites. There were also Moabites. But the Canaanites worshiped Yahweh, the storm deity. The Moabites also worshiped their version of Yahweh as well. But the Canaanites worshiped Yahweh as a storm deity as part of their Canaanite pantheon. And I explained to him that Yahweh in the original Canaanite story was the son of El Elyon and his mother Asherah. And then as time went on, Yahweh took over from El Elyon and became the husband of Asherah and had their own children, Mot and Baal. But then later on, the story changed again, and Yahweh/El is just one deity who supposedly have been here for all eternity, according to the story. But we know that looking at archaeology, chronologically, you do not have El until you have the Canaanites, or Yahweh rather, until you have the Canaanites. Now, you had El before you had the Canaanites, because El was also in and around the time frame of the Akkadians and the Assyrians who came before Canaanites. So then El started in and around about 3000 to 4000 BCE. And you can even make the leap and say that El and Anu are the same deity. El and Enlil are the same deity. But if that's the case, then El is the son of Anu. But even Anu believed that, even the teachings in the Sumerian about Anu is that there was a deity of all creation, unnamed and unknown, that created Anu and Namu, who then created the heavens and the earth, separated the waters. So even for them, before there was an El or Enlil, there was some other supreme deity, and El Enlil is the son of Anu. So I asked him the question of what about the deities that were created even before the Sumerians? You see, we know that there were people who were existing prior to the Sumerians in Göbekli Tepe and Taran Tepe. We also knew that in prehistory there were people who were existing in what we call modern day China. That there were people existing in 25,000 BCE in the Americas, in southern Africa at 125,000 and 200,000 years ago in southern Africa. We know that people were existing all over this planet, hundreds of thousands, and in some places a million years before there ever was a Canaanite or Sumerian or an Israelite. So how is it that that God has to be the God that everybody else was actually talking about? And if that was true, then why does the God who does not like witchcraft have witchcraft in all the other people's stories? For instance, the Ephah story goes back to, at a minimum, 10,000 years ago. So in around 8,000 BCE, at a minimum, but actually goes further back than that to more around 12,000 BCE at a minimum. How do they have the story of Chetua? They have the stories of Eshu and Shango and Oshun and Otamare, and they have pictures and deities and all these different things that go against your God. It goes against the teachings. Iconography. How do they have all that? Which shows your God changes then. He is not always the same. How do the Shinto have different deities? How does the Brahmin and the Indus Valley people have different understandings and different worships than your God? Just because they share some similarities does not make your God the God. That is just your imperialistic mindset to make it that way. But that was the dumbest fucking argument I ever heard to support this God. That if you follow the teachings of Asclepius, the healer, with his serpent staff, and because Moses had a bronze staff made in order to heal the people from the vipers that was killing the people, that you're still worshiping the God of Israel. Make it make sense, people, because it certainly does not. So what do you think? Comment, subscribe, share, and always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.